Good evening, you're watching The Big Story. I'm Hairianto Diman, coming to you live from the Ministry of Communications and Information. Now, this just in, the Health Ministry has confirmed 47 new cases, and this is the biggest number of confirmed cases reported in a single day. This brings the total number of confirmed cases in Singapore to 313. Now, out of these 47 new cases, 33 are imported cases, and 30 of them comprise Singapore residents, long-term pass holders, as well as permanent residents. They're infected overseas. Now, to further reduce importation of COVID-19 cases, the task force just announced additional travel restrictions, including deferring all travel abroad, and for those coming into Singapore will be served a 14-day stay-home notice.
For outgoing travelers, we are raising the advisory from defer non-essential travel to defer all travel. A Singaporean coming back from anywhere in the world effectively will have to serve a full 14-day self-isolation period. So even if there are more cases amongst the returnees, we can isolate them and treat them and minimize the risk of the virus transmitting more broadly to other Singaporeans.
Now, this latest 14-day stay-home notice served to those coming to Singapore will take effect from midnight this Friday. Now, that said, the task force still urged those who returned here before Friday to be responsible and consider self-isolating for a few days or even the full 14 days. This is especially so for families returning from overseas in the next 2 days.
To complement the measures that we have just announced, I believe the Ministry of Education is going to announce something very soon. They are indeed going to take extra precautions for family members and children who have gone overseas during this period. And if the family members return, even if they had returned before the deadline that we have put in place, MOE will want the children to stay at home for 14 days. Just to have extra precautions. And that's a separate statement that the Ministry of Education will be putting out very soon.
Now, meanwhile, Minister Wong also noted that the restrictions will apply to all checkpoints, but there are ongoing bilateral discussions with Malaysia for line crossings.
The travel restrictions that we have just announced will apply to all checkpoints, air, land, and sea. However, as we also highlighted here, for the land crossings with Malaysia, and we have already explained before, given the very unique nature of this land crossing, we need closer bilateral discussions with them. What we have in mind through the bilateral discussions which are ongoing, for example, is to provide for the many drivers who are driving through the causeway delivering goods. You cannot expect them to come and drive through and then say 14-day stay at home, for example, right? So we have to work out exceptions.
Now, on other details that were revealed during the press briefing earlier, one is on whether Singapore will raise the DORSCON alert or go into a lockdown. The task force stresses that there are no plans to go to DORSCON raid. As was mentioned in the press briefing yesterday as well, Minister Wong emphasized again that there are no plans for a full lockdown and that Singapore is taking stringent measures which are already in place, like travel restrictions, doing contact tracing so as to stamp out potential clusters or even existing clusters as well, and pursuing social distancing measures. Now, as for capacity-wise, Minister Gan Kim Yong said that while a rise in cases has been planned for, Singaporeans should not become complacent and that we must do all we can to reduce the total number of cases here. Now, for more information on these new cases and for the COVID-19 situation here in Singapore, you can visit straitstimes.com. Once again, I'm Hairianto Diman reporting for the Straits Times.